So again, we're given a graph, g of x, and we want to sketch the graph of y equals negative g of x. So here the negative is outside, so it's going to affect your y values. And if you think about one of these points, so if I think about this point right here at 1, 6, where's that point going to go when I flip it? It's going to go down to 1, negative 6, because outside is going to affect the y values. So if we labeled that original point, we'd say, well, that's at 1, 6. Now our new point is at 1, negative 6. So this is flipping it over the x-axis. Now if we take some other points on our original graph, maybe we use that y-intercept, maybe we use this other point, and we flip those ones as well. What is this graph going to look like? Well, final graph is going to look like this. Arrowheads on the end. Domain and range of our original one. Well, the domain was everything, and the range was everything. For our new graph, even though you multiplied your y values by a negative, your range is still everything. Now I want you to look at my graph, and I want you to look at where the red and the green graph intersected, and then I want you to comment on the accuracy of my graph. So take a moment to look at the red graph and look at the green graph, and look at where they cross, and then think about the accuracy of my graph. Okay, so it's accurate because the points are accurate, but then afterwards it might be a little bit off in different, like here on the right-hand side, mine goes wider than it is on the left. Now, how about where they intersect? Because right now I have them intersecting right there. Is that perfectly accurate where they intersect, or is that not accurate? Not accurate. Where should they be intersecting? At 0. Does that make sense? This point right here is where they should be intersecting. Why is that? Well, what do we know about the y-coordinate at an x-intercept? The y-coordinate of my x-intercept, I don't know the x-coordinate, so I'm going to just write x-intercept, comma, what? 0. So our x-intercept is always 0. What happens when you multiply that by a negative 1? You still get 0. So does that make sense that that would be the point that stays the same on both graphs? Because when I multiply that x-intercept by a negative 1, the y value by a negative 1, it's still going to be 0. So as far as being accurate, my graph was close. But that could be a point that you could check to make sure when they intersect, they will only intersect at that x-intercept. And that is always true for this one, right? Where will, like if we think about this one, where will it intersect? Because now you would be multiplying the x-coordinate by a negative 1. When there's a 0 for your x-coordinate, which is a y-intercept. So we learn a broad concept like multiplying the x by a negative 1 or the y by a negative 1. But you will get questions, and there's one not in this questions right now, but I think in the next set of questions that I'm going to give you, that get you to think about those specifics. What point doesn't change? So if I'm multiplying y by a negative 1, the only thing that's going to stay the same is if my y-coordinate is 0. Okay, questions for practice on these ones, 4, 5, and 6, and 10 and 11.